In Matthew chapter 7, we see Jesus wrapping up his Sermon on the Mount. This is his sermon where he's literally just turning everything upside down in this world. And he says these words in verses 13 and 14. He says, "Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few." I love these words, and I've heard them many times, and maybe you have too. Maybe you've heard a lot of sermons or read some books about it. But these words cut so deep to the heart because Jesus is showing us that there are two gates. There are two paths for us to choose in life. There's one that's wide and easy, and that many choose, and there's one that is narrow and hard that few choose. The wide and easy path leads to destruction, and yet the hard, narrow path leads to life. You see, Jesus wants to show us that we have a decision to make on a daily basis of what gate we're going to go through or what path we're going to go on. But my question is this the first time these people and we are hearing about this in Scripture? Actually, in Proverbs chapter 4, we see Solomon teach his sons these same precepts. In verses 10 through 19, we see Solomon give instruction to his son that show him that there is a path of the righteous, but yet there's also a path of the wicked. And yet every day we have to have the decision or make the decision of what path we're going to take. So in verse 10, Solomon says, "Hear, my son, accept my words, that the years of your life may be many." He's telling him, he's saying, listen up, this is going to benefit you. He goes on to say, "I have taught you that the way of wisdom is leading to the paths of righteousness." He says, "When you walk, your step will not be hampered, and if you run, you will not stumble. Keep hold of this instruction, do not let it go. Guard her, for she is your life." You see, he is teaching his son, he's saying, listen, I as your father have brought you to this path of uprightness. He says, this is your life. This is going to be the path you want to go on. But Solomon knows is that he can't make that decision for his son. His son has to make that decision. So he encourages them, listen up. Choose that path because it leads to life. He says, but over here is a different path and it's going to be enticing. And so he goes on, he says, but do not enter the path of the wicked and do not walk in the way of the evil. He says, avoid it. Do not go on it. Turn away from it. Pass on. He says, for they cannot sleep unless they have done wrong, and they are robbed of sleep unless they have made someone stumble. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. He's informing his sons. He says, listen, this is the right path for you to go down, this uprightness that leads to life. But yet, there is an enticing path that's going to try to lure us down. He says, don't take that path. It's not going to end well. In fact, it's going to lead to your destruction. You're going to stumble. You're going to fall. Right? They are all focused on violence and wickedness. And so he wants to show them that there's two ways to go in life. But yet it takes intentionality to make that decision every single day. He ends these verses 18 and 19, by showing us the difference between the two. He says, the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day. He says, but the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know over what they stumble. The path of the righteous leads to light or life. The path of the wicked leads to darkness and stumbling. And so the question we all have to ask ourselves is, how intentional are we being every single day? Are we choosing the path of uprightness or righteousness? Are we choosing the narrow path that leads to life? Or are we choosing the path of the wicked that leads to darkness and destruction. This is a very important decision to make every single day. And I also want to just encourage you parents out there, that if you have children in your home, to take the lead like Solomon and lead them to the right path as well. And if you're not a parent, you have other people you're influencing. We all have the ability to influence others toward the path of righteousness, of uprightness, of life. And so take time to go through those questions that are in this post, and I hope you have a wonderful day.